Hi, good morning. It's Councillor Glen. This morning I'm on Wild Pine Crescent in front of the Wild Pine Retirement Residences. I have a ton of updates for you this morning. Local stuff, international stuff, citywide stuff, so I'll launch right into it. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Collinda Joseph. She is a member of the Team Canada wheelchair curling team, and yesterday they won a bronze medal at the Paralympics. So congratulations to Stittsville's Collinda Joseph and all of your teammates. We're super proud of you, and when you're back home, I think we got to organize a big celebration to welcome you back. So great job, bronze medal at the Paralympics. We have a winter parking ban that's going to come into effect in about half an hour. So I'm recording this now just around 9:30 a.m. From 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. today on Saturday. There is a winter parking ban in effect. Please take your cars off of the road. You know, the number one reason for roads that aren't properly cleared during the winter is when there are cars that remain parked on the road. So please help out everyone. Your neighbors will love you if you take the cars off of the street. If you don't have room in your driveway, maybe talk to a neighbor who might have some extra space. There's also some city locations, some city parking lots where you're allowed to park your car temporarily in case you don't have room in your driveway. You can go to ottawa.ca to get that information, so please do so. Ukraine, last week, remember we were talking about the donation point here in Stittsville at St. Andrew's Church for Ukraine. Well, they had a ton of response, and the Ukraine Orthodox Church here in Ottawa has been overwhelmed by the response. They've put a pause on the donations for a bit, but you can still donate cash donations to the Red Cross. That's a great way that you can help out humanitarian efforts in Ukraine if you want to do that. There's also a march tomorrow afternoon, or a rally, I guess, at City Hall in support of the people of Ukraine. So if you're interested in showing your support that way, you can look for information online. Let me turn to some local things. Volunteer awards. This week we opened the nominations for the 2022 Stittsville Volunteer Awards. There are 6 categories. It's open to any nominations of any person living in Stittsville who's an active volunteer in the community. So if you check out my website, glengower.ca, you'll find all the information there. Just wanted to note we have renamed the Youth Volunteer Award. It's the John Curry Memorial Youth Volunteer Award in recognition of everything that John did for youth in our community. He always celebrated the achievements of young people, academic, athletic, and I know supporting young people is something very important to John, so we wanted to name that award in his honor. I know we've got a lot of great volunteers, so if you know a volunteer, please nominate them for the awards, and we'll be having a big ceremony in early June. With all this snow here today, just wanted to remind you, if you own a snowmobile, you are not allowed to snowmobile on city paths or on the Trans-Canada Trail except for west of Westridge. It's only west of Westridge that snowmobiles are allowed. Anywhere else in the trail, it's not allowed, and it's dangerous. And residents, if you do see a snowmobile traveling where they're not allowed in our community, you can call 311. You can also call 911 if you think it's posing a danger to people living in our community, which they can. They're big, heavy, fast machines. If you live in the Snowberry Drive area, you might see some film activity, film crews. There's a French film about hockey that's being produced and filmed here in Stittsville over the weekend. That's over at Snowberry Drive. We have a lot of potholes turning up because of some of the freeze and thaw cycles going on. If you see a pothole, please call it in to 311. City crews will be dispatched to clean that up. Obviously, they're focused on the snow clearing today, but once that's out of the way, they'll be back out filling potholes on the street. We published on our website this week a site plan application for Dunrobin Distillery's new building at 1498 Stittsville Main Street. That's just north of Abbott Street. It's the old building that used to have I guess it still does, the red garage in front. They want to do a distillery there, so please check that out if you're interested in more information. Coming up on March 21st, we're hosting the first meeting of our diversity group here in Stittsville. The topic is getting feedback on what Ottawa can do to better support newcomers in our community. We've had a number of people who've reached out who want to participate in that roundtable discussion. We're going to be doing it on Zoom, and if you'd like to participate on the 21st, if you represent one of our many diverse community groups in Stittsville, please email my office and be happy to get an invite out to you. And thanks to everybody who's expressed interest so far. Coming up on Tuesday the 29th, I believe it is, we're going to be hosting a special webinar with the city's head of affordable housing policy and strategy in Ottawa. One of the big focuses right now for City Council and for me, I'm the chair of the planning committee. Something I've gotten really involved in the last couple of years at City Hall is about affordable housing. We have a crisis in our community where 10,000 people are on a waiting list for affordable housing. So it's something we need to move on as quickly as possible. And we're going to have Saeed Sayeh, who is the manages, leads the City of Ottawa's response in that area. He's going to give an overview of what the city is doing and answer questions from people here in Stittsville. So that's on the 29th, and you can find all the Zoom information on my website or on Facebook as well. We actually had a big conversation at City Hall this week about housing affordability, not just affordable housing, community housing, low-income housing, which is our biggest crisis, but also overall the lack of supply that we're seeing right now in Ottawa, in Ontario. There's a real crunch on homes, and we are welcoming more and more people in our community, but we don't have enough homes up for resale, and we don't have enough new homes being built. So last month, the province put out a Housing Affordability Task Force report. What they want to do is double the number of new homes being built in Ontario to 1.5 million over 10 years. So if you think Stittsville and Ottawa is growing fast now, it's actually a lot of statistics, a lot of data showing we aren't growing fast enough. Now, of course, there's a ton of problems that come with growth, right? We're not caught up on infrastructure. There's I could go on, and I will in a future video. But the city put out a response to the province's Affordable Housing Task Force report. One of my chief concerns about it is it has all sorts of initiatives, legislative changes, financial changes to promote more growth, but it really guts a lot of the local role in planning. So it limits access to appeal rights for residents, or it obliterates some of the heritage protections that are in place there, even reducing the amount of public consultation and city oversight on some development. I do see the need for more homes being built, but not at the expense of good local planning. So I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I'm going to write a post about it on my website over the weekend, because I think it's important, and I think we need to talk more about this housing crisis and the housing shortage and some of the ways that each level of government and other organizations are trying to address it. On heritage, we had a Built Heritage Subcommittee meeting this week, and one of the updates was about what's called the city's Heritage Watch List. This is an initiative that was started several years ago, meant to help save buildings from demolition and neglect, buildings that have been identified as heritage buildings. We have a couple here in Stittsville that were listed as high risk for a number of years. One of those was the Boyd House at 173 Huntmar, and the other was the Bradley Craig Farm and Barn on Hazeldean Road. Really pleased to report that they've now been moved to the low risk category due to some proactive intervention by city heritage staff and by bylaw for inspections, but also cooperation from the property owners to make sure that the homes are shored up. And in the case of the Bradley Craig Barn, some significant rehabilitation work happening as well. So that's really good news. COVID. I wanted to talk about COVID. Obviously, the big news that everyone is talking about is the provincial announcement about lifting mask restrictions in most situations where they're in existence. I have two thoughts on this. One, I've seen a lot of people saying this is a politically motivated decision. I'll go out on a limb, I suppose. I don't think it's politically motivated. I think across Canada and across many countries in the world, we've seen a relaxation of mask mandates, and it's not coming from any single political stripe. And there are a lot of other countries who have taken the step, a lot of other jurisdictions who've taken the step to minimize mask mandates, and so far it does appear to be going well. I would say it doesn't mean that if there's not an increase in COVID signals and so on, that we might not go back into a masking situation. But right now in Ottawa, the COVID situation is declining. Any indicators that we're watching around wastewater, around hospitalizations, around the testing that is done around high priority populations, we are seeing COVID in our community going down. So it's a proceed with caution approach. I really invite you to read what Dr. Etches wrote. I posted a copy of it on my website. It's her special statement from March 9th, I believe it is. So please check that out and read it. It's too much to capture in a minute or two on a video here. Some of the nuance and background and context that she provides. But I did want to share two things. First of all, some guidance from Ottawa Public Health on when you should absolutely be wearing a mask. Crowded spaces, situations where you have close contact with people outside your household, where there's a lot of close conversation, and confined or enclosed spaces without proper ventilation. So the 3 C's of COVID, and if you're someone at high risk, you should be wearing a mask, or if you have concerns about your own health for whatever reason, you can still wear a mask. Really urging people to be kind and be patient and be understanding, respect people's personal choices on this as we go forward, and check out ottawapublichealth.ca/risk reduction. So great information there about how you can assess your own risk and some tips about things that you can continue doing to reduce your risk of illness and stay well. Okay, I've got a few more things. We're almost done. I wanted to mention another thing. At Planning Committee, we approved something called the High Performance Development Standards. This is new requirements for new home builds to make them more energy efficient. Earlier in this term of council, we declared a climate emergency, and we introduced a plan called Energy Evolution to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. This is a really important step in this. I learned this week, I didn't realize this, that our buildings, homes, businesses, and so on are as much of a source of greenhouse gas emissions as transportation, cars and trucks and buses and so on. So it's really important that we focus on making our homes and our buildings more energy efficient. This new high performance development standard will do that, and there's other benefits too. It'll help drive some new growth in the green jobs economy. It'll make our buildings more resilient to climate change, so extreme cold, extreme heat. It's good for public health, and there's some improvements to make for a healthier tree canopy as well, some higher quality soil requirements in new builds. So all good things, and I'll be sharing some more information about that on my website as well later this weekend. I posted a thing on my website about property taxes. I've had a lot of people ask, with the rising cost of homes, does that mean my property taxes are going to go way up next year? The short answer is no, because what's happening is housing prices are going up uniformly across the board, across the whole city, in every type of housing. And so it's not like income tax, or if you make a higher salary, you pay more taxes. We spread out taxes amongst everyone. So as long as every home is going up by about the same amount, your property taxes won't have a big jump. We did approve about a 3% inflationary increase in taxes, which we've been doing consistently the last few years. So if you're interested in that question, please go to my website and read some more background on that. And finally, a very important survey has been posted at engage.ottawa.ca about waste and recycling and composting and garbage. Our landfill is running out of years of life, and we need to divert more garbage out of the landfill and into recycling. We need to reduce our waste. So please take that survey, because it's going to help inform city staff and me as a councillor to let us know where your thinking is at in terms of what measures you would like to see, what measures you would be comfortable with. So that's at engage.ottawa.ca, or check out my website as well. I'm going to end there. This has been a lot of stuff in my update. As always, check out my website throughout the week, glengower.ca. My team and I post things almost every day. There's so much going on these days in the city, so please check that out. Thank you for watching on Facebook or YouTube or Spotify, iTunes, podcasts, and everything. I apologize for the wind. I like to do these outside, but I know it's a bit windy. Hope everything made sense. I'll add some links in the notes, and I will see you next Saturday. Have a great weekend. Have a great March break. Take care.